Hello, everybody, and thank you very much for coming along today. My name is Steve O'Brien. I would be the Senior Business Development Manager for Westcoast Cloud. And what Westcoast Cloud do is we support partners or resellers of Microsoft services predominantly. We monthly sell about 15 million licenses. So as you can imagine, we come across a lot of scary and significant security threats in that time. Great to see people here considering security as a core component and a driver for their vision of IT and adopting IT. And nothing helps that even more than government legislation, unfortunately. And that's going to be something that's going to impact businesses of all shapes and sizes, from very small to massive global conglomerates. But just to move this along, the NIS2 directive is EU-led cybersecurity legislation. It's replacing the original NIS directive. It actually came into effect, you'll be shocked to hear, in January of 2023. But according to Dave Keddy, who is the National Security Officer for Microsoft, the ramifications of this will be fully in effect by January 2026. So that will have impacts on C-suite management across the board for most industries as part of the broadening of its scope. So what it's designed to do is to strengthen cybersecurity across the EU, improve resilience of critical sectors, and then also introduce stricter security requirements and enforcement mechanisms. So I did mention that this is actually extending to a number of sectors. Originally, the NIS directive covered about 1,000 companies or businesses. This has now gone to 100,000 plus with this new extension. So that's going to include industries such as energy, transport, banking, healthcare, digital infrastructure, and public administration, as well as the providers such as Unitec are going to be impacted upon it. Now, a big element, and Colin briefly touched on it before, is the impact on the supply chain. So if you, for example, are a waste management company and you're working with a government department, or you're in the healthcare industry working with someone like Leia, you will, as part of their NIS2 compliance, have to be compliant as well. So that trickle down will have greater impacts on who you can provide services to and who you can work with. So moving on. So just key factors to consider: mandatory cybersecurity measures such as risk assessments, incident handling, and then, as I previously mentioned, supply chain security. There is a 24-hour incident response. So if there is something that would be deemed to be a breach, the onus would be on you to report that to not only your provider, Unitec, but also the guys in the corner, and then the management of the incident is equally as important to your response. So this is the big one, and the fact that you're here, I think you guys are more receptive to it. There is now an onus, and there can be financial repercussion to management themselves. So your handling of situations and your response and the reporting of said situations will actually trickle down to your C-suite, to your management board, and how you respond will dictate actually if there will be fines. Penalties: there's fines up to 10 million or 2% of global annual turnover for essential entities, and it is slightly lower for the services that will be deemed to be important. So look, what are people doing about this? What is the response? How are you preparing for this? So a big part of my service to the likes of Unitec will be to advise and support through Microsoft services. As I said, we're one of the largest distributors across UK and Ireland. We would advise customers to work within their own framework of what they need, and their vulnerability would be. But layering multiple services is an option, and you can also go with one provider with a native suite of products that will cover all these services. But it all begins with your framework. So a prominent framework that people are adopting is zero trust. And what that implies is never trust, always verify. So your MFA approach, role-based access controls, conditional access, allowing people the access to the information that they require to do their job effectively, but for God's sake, like don't leave the door open to let information be leaking from your organization. So there is, as part of this, you can see that you're looking to look after your identities, your endpoints, which will be your devices, your applications, the data, and then your overall infrastructure and network. And then on the back of that, how are you, the use of a SIEM solution like something like Microsoft Sentinel for your incident and response. So there is many ways that you can provide this. So depending on the size of your organization, you can use a multitude of products, and there's excellent products in the room here, vendors here that will be able to talk about specific services. With Microsoft, there is an overall native tool set that you can apply to your business. So for sub 300 businesses, you can offer something like a business premium, and then wrap around additional services that will give you incident response, that will give you security and compliance services. So these are the kind of things that you would be looking for, such as Defender for Business, Defender for Office 365, your device management through Microsoft Intune, and then obviously the most important thing, MFA, putting in a robust conditional access policy. So for larger organizations, obviously larger than 300 seats, you'd be looking at something like Microsoft 365 E5. There's been a recent announcement that smaller businesses can now avail of the more automated services brought from an E5 at a lower cost. So what I would recommend is, if you do have any security concerns and you are looking at your roadmap and your product offering, engage with the guys at Unitec. I would be happy to jump on a call or advise or just review anything with you and kind of address any concerns that you do have. So that's pretty much it from me. I won't be here after. Unfortunately, I have to catch a flight. But if there is any requirements that you do have, please just reach out to the Unitec guys. I'd be more than happy to jump on a call and support any way I can. All right. Thank you for your time.